Okay, this is Chapter 8, Section 2. We're talking about parallelograms. And in this example, this is example 8, it has 3 parts to it. So this is the first picture. And in each picture that we're about to look at, we're supposed to find the area of each triangle or parallelogram. So the first thing to remember is the area of a triangle formula. So I'm going to write that right here. Equals half base times height, or base times height divided by 2. And we can clearly see that 10 is the base. What we don't have is the height here. Okay? And I'm going to call that h. Okay? Now, we would like that height. We don't know if it's a right. We don't know if the whole thing is a right triangle. It's a 30, and we don't know these other 2 angles. But if you notice here, I've made, when I drop the height from the vertex, I've made a right angle there. So I do have a right triangle inside there. So I can get that done. And so let me just write this in red so we don't mix it up. So across from the 30 is the opposite. The 10 we don't know is the whole thing, so don't use 10. It's got broken up into 2 parts, but we don't know either of those parts, so don't use that. That's the adjacent. And then we've got 8, which acts as the hypotenuse of that inner triangle. So we want the opposite. We have the hypotenuse. So SOHCAHTOA, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So sine 30 degrees equals opposite, which is h, not hypotenuse. H is height over hypotenuse, which is 8 meters. Now the other thing we know is sine 30 is one of our special 30, 60, 90 triangles, and when we memorized our unit circle, the sine of 30 is the x movement, and at 30 degrees this is a half. So we've got this proportion to solve, and it's very easy. When you cross multiply, you're going to get, anyways, most of us see that if we multiply this by 4, then we can multiply this by 4. And so 1 times 4, h equals 4. So we know the height is 4. So we're going to put that in here right now. Change my pen. This is now 4. We know the base is 10. Let's erase that. It looks like junk. Okay, and we put the half here, so that would be 20 meters squared is the final area. Okay, I'm going to clear this off. So that was basically, I had to do some trig to do a step to get the piece you wanted. I'm going to erase it all. We'll pull in a different picture, and we'll do part 2 now. Part 2, you're still looking for the area, and this time it's a parallelogram. I'm going to shrink it down so we got something to work with. And it's very similar to what we did there before. We don't have, we have a base, but this is not the, 10 is not the height. So we know the area, instead of half base times height, is just base times height. So we've already got that as 18. What we don't have is the height. Okay? So let's look for that. Well, I'm going to do like before. I'm going to go up here and draw my height in. Okay? I'm going to change colors so we don't get confused, but you don't really have to. Opposite 60 is the height, and then this is our hypotenuse. It looks like a mess. Okay, there's a hypotenuse. So again, we want SOHCAHTOA. Well, opposite over hypotenuse is sine. 60 degrees equals h over 10. Okay, and so, okay, sine 60. Well, sine 60 is the other side of, we already did sine 30, which was a half. So this would be the other one, which was in a 30, 60, 90, root 3 divided by 2 in our unit circle equals h over 10. Okay, so I can cross multiply, and I get 2h equals 10 root 3, divide by 2, divide by 2, and I'll get 5 root 3 equals h. So I'm going to put that in here, 5 root 3. So when I do this, 18 times 5 is 90. Yep, it's 90. So I'm going to change my pen. A equals 90 root 3, which is approximately 155.9 square feet. But the exact answer is 90 root 3. And I used the exact one because I remembered to square the sine of 60 on the unit circle. That's the x value, excuse me, the y value is root 3 over 2. Okay, we got one last one to do, so let me swing this one clean. Okay, and I'm going to put in that picture. And it's a very much the same problem, except some different numbers there. And they gave us a 45-degree angle. So I need to get the area, which is base times height. And if I want, I could call this the base. So I know that is 20. What I need is the height. Okay, and so I'm going to drop my height there. There it is, h. Okay, I'm having trouble lining up with my finger there. There's h, my height. And so it looks like I have a 45, 45, 90 in this triangle right here. This shaded triangle right here. Okay, so that was 45, 45, 90. And I know I have, this is the hypotenuse, so let me change the color to red. So when we do our trig, we're not, this is the hypo. And this is the opposite. And we don't really need the adjacent there. So again, we're going to be stuck using sine. Sine 45 equals h over 13. Okay? And sine is one of our, sine 45 is one of our special ones. Sine and cosine are both the same at 45 degrees. They're both root 2 divided by 2 equals this, h over 13. So cross multiplying, you get 13 root 2 equals 2, 2h. Divide by 2, and you get 13 root 2 divided by 2 equals h. So we're going to put that in there. You could also write 7.5 root 2, but we're going to do it this way. 13 root 2 all divided by 2 in there. We're going to multiply, but I'm going to multiply, do the 20 times the dividing by 2, and that's 10. So I'm going to change my pen here back to the color we were using. So that's 10 times 13 root 2, because I did the dividing by 2 first. So that's much easier to work with. 130 root 2 is the area. And if I just want, if I need an approximate answer, I get about 183.8 square yards. There's my answers. Okay? And that was the third one. So we're done example 8 now.